publication of the Breslov Yeshiva of Mea Shearim. That was before there existed something called the Breslov Research Institute. And when the book came out, Chaim immediately grasped the value of having Rabbi Nachman books in English and asked me if I would be interested and willing to translate the Eitzes into English.
How did your Hebrew get that good that you could translate?
Because in the
like an interview, you know?
winter of 1976,
CNN.
before I'd ever heard of Reb Nachman, I had, first of all, gone to Lubavitch House in London to ask some of the Talmud Tzitzis. And as they say, one thing leads to another. I got invited to Stamford Hill, London, Chabad for a Shabbos. Where, as I told you, I drank 3/4 bottle of vodka in one night. And woke up literally, for the first time I understood what it means to be plastered. You were literally, you felt like you had like plaster all over you. Your body is basically turned to clay that was setting at an alarming rate and you thought you were like dying. That was like about 10:30 a.m. on Shabbos morning, wondering how to get to davening. And then the thing that came after that was that I came to Chabad House in Parshas Vayetze of 1976, looking for some kind of class. So a yuppie sort of German man with who must have been about in his 60s with a little beard says, "What are you looking for?" I said, "I'm looking to study something, preferably Chumash Rashi." So he says, "Come in here with me. Here's a Chumash." And we started off learning Chumash Rashi.
Who was that famous man?
That was Dr. William Stern, Zecher Tzadik V'Bracha, who became my teacher for the next several years. We learned a substantial amount of Rashi, Mishnah, and weekly classes and daily classes with Rabbi Aaron, and this must be Michael.
Hi.
Is this your father, Aaron? Is this your father?
Okay. Okay.
No, it doesn't have to be your father.
They have to walk. You can sit here.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. If you want to come back, come back. Come back. Jacob, just move that.
So you have to remember as the background to this.
We're all going to go inside soon. We're all going to go inside. If you need this space, we'll move.
No, I'm fine.
You're going to get like 30 people.
Yeah.
Seder. Kobe Seder. Stay for a while. Seder.
God decreed that my neshama, the tender age of 13, had to be exposed to the study of the Greek language and the Latin language, and he decreed that I had to be taken into this exile of studying Greek and Roman literature, and that period that I studied Greek and Latin coincides with the worst time in my life. The time that I was furthest from Yiddishkeit, while learning all about this Greek and Roman mythology and all about their Avodah. But you know, it says that God prepares the refuah even in the makom, and he turned me into a first-class Greek and Latin scholar. I was top student of my year in Cambridge University in 1971 in part 1 of the Latin Greek Classics Tripod. And that was the best preparation I ever had for broadcasting, for writing, and for learning how to produce a decent translation of Hebrew into English, because we were trained to make the translation sound like it was native to that language and not a sort of word-by-word translation awkwardly of the other language. That was the whole thing we were translated to. We were trained to bring out sort of flowing English prose, and that was the best training I could possibly have for translating Reb Nachman. And so I was a linguist, and that was what God wanted from me. And that started a string of, Baruch Hashem, many wonderful joint publications with Rabbi Kramer of the Breslov Research Institute. We did Rabbi Nachman's Advice, we did Azamra, we did...
How long did Advice take you to write?
Oh, that was murder. That was before there was
I can tell.
word processors. That was done on a little manual typewriter, man. I hand-typed the manuscript advice 3 times.
Wow.
The first version, which then got covered over my scribbled corrections.
Great.
Before the days of word processors. Then the second version, and then after that was also all scribbled over the third version.
How long?
That
2 years?
took, well, I started in 1980, and it actually was published in November of 1983.
Wow.
It was October of 1983. It was a good 2.5 years.
I lived with that book for a year.
That was real murder, that book, because nobody had translated sections of Likutei Moharan into English, and there were all these concepts in Lashon HaKodesh, which to find the right word in English to express it that would not deceive the reader into thinking it's different from what it really is. That was very hard to do. It was a personal breakthrough for me, and I think for Breslov Hasidus, to get into English. And it was while that book was being done that the Breslov Research Institute was born. Because by then we realized that everything has to come into English. Rabbi Nachman commissioned the Aleph-based book.
Right.
He started on the Likutei Moharan.
Right.
He had several people working on
Moshe Maikov?
Moshe Maikov. Before Moshe Maikov, there was Ozer Bergman's brother.
Right.
His name is escaping me at this moment. Simcha. So he did the first Likutei Moharan volume.
Right.
Then somebody else.
Did they ever ask you to do it, or did you have any? Or did you want to do it?
I was nishmat from doing that Likutei Moharan.
What does that mean?
I kept away from it.
Because. You want me to shut the camera off?
First of all, I think the real right person to do it is Rabbi Kramer. He has the breadth of scholarship in Talmud, Shulchan Aruch, Kabbalah, Arizal, Zohar, to be able to write the commentary. I also felt that I had a different mission, which was to try to express the essence of what Rabbi Nachman was saying in essential English. In other words, the projects I choose to work on were, for example, my book on healing, which was taking certain Torahs in the Likutei Moharan about healing and showing that it all connected as part of a whole idea and how it applies to the actual person trying to heal spiritually or physically. Well, now, it's very difficult to say any of what I was saying under the authority of Breslov Research Institute, because it's all can be seen as personal interpretation. And the Likutei Moharan deserves to have the mainstream, official, authorized version,
scholarship,
which is for the reader to be taken through the nuances of the Hebrew. This is what this paragraph is saying, and this is the background to it, which is for people who seriously want to understand Rabbi Nachman. But besides that, the world needs to hear, hey guys, bullet paragraphs of Nachman is saying about healing A, B, C, D, E, and zoom, zoom, zoom. And, that's one person's work and that's another person's work.
Can a person depend on Torah to heal him if he has like a psychological problem, or how do you mesh that with going to a psychologist or a therapist? How much?
Ideally, we need the Torah therapist. The difference between a secular therapist or analyst and a Torah Rebbe is that the ethics committee of the Psychotherapist Institute does not allow the therapist to say, well, you need to keep Shabbos. He's not allowed to. If the patient sort of feels that he needs to keep Shabbos, maybe the analyst, if he has sufficient understanding, can support him. Unfortunately, another analyst may say, oh, that expresses some Freudian need for something quite different for your mother. So you don't need to keep Shabbos, you need to be Oedipus with your mother. So the Freudian analyst can totally twist the person's craving for... let me give an example. There's Sigmund Freud's earliest work was with compulsive obsessive neuroses. There's a famous analytic case of somebody who's constantly washing his hands. Well, to a Torah mind, that immediately suggests that this guy was living out a curse because he wasn't doing the kilter diet, and therefore he became compulsive, obsessive about washing his hands. I mean, that immediately comes through a Torah person's mind. Right? But the psychologists can't accept it as such because you're not allowed to